Before there were ever mountains, before I even laid the foundations of the earth, I had a plan, an eternal design all about bringing you close, about bridging that infinite distance between us. This is the story of that plan. I know you have. I'd seen it in your heart, that longing for connection, that sense of separation that maybe you couldn't even put into words. You see, you were made for closeness with me. In the moment sin entered the world, that closeness was broken. But I was not about to leave you there. So from the very beginning, I designed a way for you to find your way back. It all started with a single man, a special set of clothes, and a sacred, holy job. I called a man Aaron and his sons from among all the people of Israel. I set them apart for a purpose, to stand in the gap, to minister to me on behalf of everyone else. This was my intentional first step, to reveal the path back to my heart. Satan creates a chasm, you see, a huge gap that no person could ever cross on their own. So I established a priesthood, and I made Aaron the very first high priest. He was meant to be a living, breathing picture, a foreshadowing of a much greater reality that was still to come. I told Moses to make these holy garments for glory and for beauty. Now, this wasn't for mere decoration. It was a living prophecy. Every single thread, every color, every stone. I chose them. I filled wise-hearted men with my spirit of wisdom just so they could craft these garments. They weren't for human vanity, oh no. They were to declare my glory and to show the beautiful holiness required to approach me. Every detail was a piece of a divine puzzle. And each part of this attire was woven with purpose, all of it revealing my heart for you. On 2 onyx stones, I had the names of the tribes engraved, one for each shoulder. Now think about it. Shoulders represent strength. So as the high priest stood before me, he was literally carrying the names of my people on his shoulders, a constant memorial. It was a picture of my infinite strength, forever holding those who are mine. And right over his heart, he wore something called the breastplate of Jedrit. It had 12 precious stones, each engraved with a different name. It wasn't worn on his arm or at his side, but directly over his heart. This was a symbol of how I hold each one of my children, precious and unique like those stones, close to my eternal heart, always. He bore their names as a memorial before me, continually. Now you have to understand this. Aaron was a shadow, the temporary placeholder pointing to the ultimate reality. He carried the names of a nation as a memorial once a year. But my son, Jesus, your true high priest, carries your personal name before the Father, not as a memory, but as a living reality forever. Aaron opened the way just once a year. Jesus has opened the way for you to approach me at any time. And right on his forehead, there was a golden plate. Engraved on it were these words, "Holiness to the Lord." This was a declaration. It signified that absolute perfect holiness is the standard to stand in my presence. Aaron wore this so he could bear the imperfections even in the people's holy gifts to make them acceptable. It was a constant reminder of a perfection he himself didn't have. But you see, the garments, as beautiful as they were not enough. The man himself had to be set apart, consecrated, made holy for this sacred duty. And this could only be done through sacrifice. The whole process involved 3 key things. First, washing with water, a symbol of the cleansing from sin that's necessary to come near me. Second, anointing with holy oil, a picture of my spirit being poured out, empowering him for service. And third, sacrifice, the undeniable truth that atonement for sin requires the shedding of blood. Each of these steps was a prophecy of the spiritual reality for every single person who would one day come to me through Christ. And get this, the blood of the sacrifice, representing a life that was given, was actually applied to the priest, first on the tip of his right ear. This consecrated everything he would hear. His ear was now set apart to listen for my voice, my word, and my will alone. Then the blood was placed on the thumb of his right hand. This consecrated all his actions, all the work of his hands. Every single deed was now meant to be from my service and from my glory. And finally, the blood was put on the big toe of his right foot. This consecrated his walk, his path, his entire journey through life. Every step he took was now on holy ground, dedicated completely to me. Do you see it? His hearing, his work, his walk, his entire being was claimed by that sacrifice. He no longer belonged to himself. He was wholly mine. This is the kind of consecration I long to perform in you, setting every part of your life apart for a holy and beautiful purpose. Now, the blueprint for drawing near continues. Inside the holy place, right before the great curtain that separated man from my immediate presence, stood another crucial piece, the altar of incense. Every single morning and every single evening, Aaron had to burn sweet incense on this golden altar. This wasn't just for a nice smell. The rising smoke was a physical symbol of the prayers of my people ascending to me. It was a perpetual act, signifying my desire for constant, unbroken communion with you. And my own word confirms this beautiful picture. Just as the fragrance of that incense was pleasing to me, so are the prayers of your heart. They are a sweet aroma that rises right before my throne. All of this, the garments, the sacrifice, the incense, was a magnificent shadow, a detailed blueprint. That a blueprint is not the building. And now I want to show you the glorious reality to which it all pointed. Here's the flaw in the shadow. Aaron, a mortal man, was a sinner himself. Even his most sincere and holy acts were tainted with imperfection. He wore that golden plate to atone for the flaws in his own worship. You see, the temporary system could point to the problem, but it could not ultimately solve it. But where the shadow was flawed, the reality is perfect. My son Jesus is your great high priest. He didn't mean to offer a sacrifice for his own sin because he had none. Instead, he offered himself as the one perfect, final sacrifice for yours. You don't need a golden plate to be holy. He has become your holiness. And so the blueprint is complete. The final sacrifice has been offered and accepted. At the very moment of his death, the great veil in the temple that separated you from my presence was torn in two from top to bottom. I did that. I tore it open. Everything that once stood in the way has been removed. The path to my heart, to my presence, is now wide open through the blood of my son. He is your high priest, carrying your name on his heart right now. The question is no longer how you can approach me. The only question that remains is, will you?